Influence TV. I had to do this video, y'all. This is Each One Teach One moment. Again, educational purpose only. Come on. We got to hear what this man say. Learn some real history, y'all.
Found out that the man he thought was his father was not his biological father.
When did he find out?
He found out during the taping. He was there with
Well,
me.
just for the record, Sonny, you also found out that your ancestors owned the slaves.
Right.
And I believe you talked about it on the show at some point,
Our
but I
family
wasn't
owned
there.
a
So
slave too.
Now that we're all here,
One that I know.
you have constantly argued that white people today should
Right.
pay reparations
Right.
for slavery, even though they had no
That's-
part in it, and that many
Ooh!
of their ancestors.
Say it again.
never-
Let's have him repeat that.
You have constantly argued that white people today should pay reparations for slavery, even though they had no part in it, and that many
Right.
of their ancestors never owned the slaves.
Right.
But now we know that your ancestors owned the slaves. So,
Right.
speaking your language and holding your own standards,
Ooh.
you have a net worth of $6 million.
Right.
And if you spend only 1% of it for reparations, which would be $60,000, you can pay $1,000 to 60 black people each. And although
Whomever.
$1,000 is not a
And
lot
you
of-
don't know who her family owned because white people were also slaves, right? So she could pay $1,000 to whomever bloodline her family owned. That's why I said you gotta be careful the information that you are given as black folk. Because some of y'all believe you are victims when your ancestors were not and were in fact slavers themselves. They were the ones out there enslaving people. So you got to be careful the information that is given. Because some of your black ancestors are foreigners who came in, or aboriginals who owned other aboriginals or other foreigners who had brown or pale skin. Because white people were also slaves. Incubation babies. Orphan trained babies were slaves, bought and sold to brothels, right? Brought and sold to the chain gang, coal mines, okay? To pick cotton, contrary to belief. White people did not own a lot of your ancestors. Did not. A lot of our ancestors were owned by other black people, the ones who were slaves. I know in my family, my great, I don't know how many greats, he's like 5, 6 great. His name was Richard Lockhart. He had a Indian servant that said Indian at first. Her name was Paula. And then they went from calling her Indian to saying she was black. She was an Indian servant in my grandfather Richard Lockhart's house. Do you understand me? So y'all gotta understand and be careful. I understand everybody like to be the good guys, but some of our ancestors were not good people, and that's just what it is. History is not here, or the truth is not here to please you, make you feel good or bad. It just is what it is. So I want people to understand that white people, there were very few white people that had the ability to own anything or anyone. These Slavic people, these so-called white people, came to America as slaves. They did not come here freemen with money. And I often say this is why they funded the KKK, because they were not wealthy, and they envied the brown skin races that were very wealthy in America. I would go in and just explain that they literally used the KKK to get into power by lynching, killing, and burning and flooding towns, and stealing the remainder infrastructure, selling it to different states, gold pieces, buildings, architectures, things of that nature. They went in and stealing records, making racial codes, making white mean a hue of complexion, black mean a hue of complexion. That's your color codes, when it really just had something to do with the caste system, which was white meant wealthy, black meant poor, and you could be socially black but have a pale hue of complexion. You could be socially white but have a brown hue of complexion. It had absolutely nothing to do with race. and so, or hue of complexion, prior to the 1924 Racial Integrity Act. So I wanted people to understand that they use census enumerators to rewrite history, and to reclassify the wealth structure in America, right? And to make themselves wealthy by stealing, using the census and records, where black people were considered white not because they were white, but because they were wealthy. I hope that makes sense. Go ahead and check out this video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay up, stay blessed, and put God first above all else. Peace out. Bye. For now.